Half stepping with Marcus J. What? I'm ready. Steppin' is the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunter's tone sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about? Call it we hear you. But all topics touch on the main issues. What you doing this show? Bring the heat. Word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. They can't hang. Word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. My brother so smart, plus brother got style. For Richmond, we on the mission. Before force, and listen up. This Marcus J start to talk, run it back. He been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. For Richmond, we on the mission. Before force, and listen up. This Marcus J start to talk.
All right, y'all. You know how Steppin Marcus J is live. We are ready to have another outstanding show. I got my man Jay Glizzy with me. As you can see, we in our mobile dens, flagship show of Legacy and that radio. Ain't no half stepping. Marcus J is live right now.
Yeah. This is about that time. This is about that time to get.
Let your lip, open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Bannon lobs it. Forrest alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
Ain't no half stepping. Marcus J is live. We are in our mobile dens. Be down with us tonight. Joining us in our live feeds on Facebook Live, on YouTube Live. Thank you for those folks that are joining us in those locations. Thank you to those folks who are checking us out in our future broadcasts. If you rock with us, we will roll with y'all. So I want to go ahead and get introduced. My brother and my friend, and he is the one that I like to call the inspiration of Legacy on that radio. He is the man that gave me my first spot, celebrating his 12-year anniversary on internet radio and live podcasting. My brother, the man, the myth, Jay Grizzo, the great Grizzolini, all of the things he like to call himself. What up, Grizz?
Yeah. What's good, Marcus J? What's happening?
How you doing, bro?
I'm happy to be here, man. I'm doing great. I love the energy. Every time I hear the intro to Ain't No Half Stepping, if that don't get you going, I don't know what does, you know?
Yeah, nah, I can dig it. As we begin our conversation, we got a nice agenda of stuff that we're gonna get to. It's gonna be you and I today. I want to give you an opportunity to put yourself over. I see your billboard back there behind you. We know that you are a podcast host in your own right, continuing the trend that we started 12 years ago together. You're the host of Taking No Shorts podcast with Jay Grizzy. And why don't you tell the viewers and listeners who you are and what that is?
Well, thank you very much, Marcus. Taking No Shorts podcast is iteration. Like Mark said, I've been in the podcasting game for 12 years. And I've had several different podcast or internet radio shows. And so I think this one is, I hate to say this one is the one because I probably said that on the other ones as well, but I just feel more comfortable doing this version of Jay Grizzy's podcasting life, and it's just putting my authentic self out there without any barriers. But also, you can check it out every Friday. We go live, and then sometimes it's edited and it comes out on all my streaming platforms. But to know what it's all about, it's exactly what the title says. And if you ever heard me on Legacy Internet Radio, it ain't no half stepping. Like the theme of what we do is we take no shorts, we don't have step, we not playing no games. It's real in the field, and I just think that's the ethos of what I wanted it to be. Yeah, let everybody know in that. So check me out every Friday, and if you don't catch it live, you catch it on all social media platforms and audio platforms as well.
You got it. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J live from our mobile dens of Legacy Internet Radio. So let's get into it today, man. Let's get to what we are and what we have always been, what we are at our core. We've always been a sports show, at our core, particularly when you and I have an opportunity to bond together. So I
Yeah.
don't pay that much attention to the Pittsburgh Steelers because they ain't my team. Little bit shady. Little bit shady. You can just look over, my left shoulder and see who my team is. But I just wanted to have a little fun with you. I don't know what your team did. Did y'all play? Who'd y'all play? What y'all do? I don't know. Y'all play tonight? Like,
Well, the reason yeah, I'm going to say the reason why is because we ain't even played week 2 yet, and honestly, if they don't play week 2 at all for us, the way we played in week 1, it would be
yeah,
okay with
yeah,
me.
yeah. It was funny. I honestly, when I set it
But
up, like
we play
it
tonight.
was a no shade. It wasn't no shade. Like I really didn't even know. I really
Well,
didn't
I
know.
think one of the things we can say, being that we're both sports guys and we started out in the podcast again as sports guys, is that we're realistic as fanatics of our teams, but we are realistic fans, right? So
Yeah,
the New York Football Giants had a rough week 1. So did the Pittsburgh Steelers, and guess what, y'all? We acknowledged it and we kept it moving. We did not wake up the next morning and say we're gonna win 6 Super Bowls.
we know what fan base that does stuff like that.
I ain't saying no names. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
I will tell you this about that. About yesterday. Giants played. Giants won 31-28 uh, in Arizona. Here's the thing. This is the first
Yeah.
year because I have DirecTV. This is the first year that I didn't have the NFL ticket because they left DirecTV and they went to YouTube. And I figured, you know what?
Right.
Is the perfect time to cut the cord. You know what I mean? Like we all talking about cutting the cord with certain cable, outlets and stuff, and moving on to different ways of getting your media. So that was what I did. And yesterday was the first day, right out the gate, week 2. It's the first time I was tested because I was tested like yesterday because I wanted to watch my game. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it was the first
That's
time,
how they get you, though, bro. That's
yesterday.
how they get you. They know, especially if you're in this type of market, like they're going to make you feel like you need, and that's how entertainment, or that's how you know there's a strong demand for it.
Yeah,
Because no matter where you are in North America, if you follow the NFL and you can't get to a game after you've been used to getting to games,
yeah.
it's not. It's a yearning.
Yeah. Well, you said it, man. You said a mouthful because it's kind of like having season tickets. It's season tickets at home. And if you used to going to the games every week or every other week or whatever it is, or you used to whatever your pattern is, and then your pattern gets broken, it's a bit of an adjustment. I bought my house in 2002. Ever since then, I've had the NFL ticket until yesterday. And so, anyway, I looked at what the schedule was, and we played the late game, the 4 o'clock game, and it was 4 other games that were being played. So I said, you know what? if I turn on the red zone channel, I got probably a 1 in 4 chance that every couple of minutes they're gonna be showing some from my game, right? This is what my thinking is.
And
Does that
let's
make
be
sense?
fair. This is what we kind of old school and new school. Like I say old school from the standpoint of this generation is used to getting football in snippets. Like
Yeah,
a whole football game, they get them in like quick highlights or because of fantasy or because of gambling. And me personally, I get that because I got my foot on that side of the game as well. But as a purist, ain't nothing like watching a game all the way through. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
of course, of course. As I'm sitting there watching the Cowboys beat up on the Jets, and I'm watching
Oh my
Washington
god.
play. I forgot who they played, but I'm watching Washington. They played in that hour. The
Denver. They played Denver.
They played Denver. The Rams were playing, what was it, the 49ers, and then us. And
Mhm.
so we are watching, my mama sat with me the whole time. It was a blessing. And check this, Grizz. Check this out, Grizz. It's halftime. And I'm fully aware that
Right.
at halftime, the Giants haven't scored this season, and the other teams had scored 60 points against us. 60.
So hard watch.
60 at halftime yesterday, bro. At halftime, hear me clear, right? At halftime yesterday.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
no way
In front of
that
his
we gonna
daughter,
go in.
audience, in front of his precious daughter, he
Yeah,
still
man,
he
bro.
gonna let her know.
Oh, she already knows this. She already know. It was a meme, right? I don't know if you saw it, but it was a guy
Right?
last week in a game that we played against Dallas, and you can see the guy. They beat us
Mhm.
40-0. That's for the Cowboys fans that's still in the
Right,
shit. Like, okay, y'all beat us
right,
40-0. What else you want? But
right.
they
Yeah,
showed a guy
yeah. Look, it's
walking
one
out.
regular season game.
Well, they showed a guy walking out of the stadium, and as he's walking out of the stadium, he's snatching off his Giants jersey, and he's throwing it down on the
I
ground in
saw that. I
disgust.
saw
You
that.
saw that, right? So Mama sees it, and and she looks at me,
Yeah,
and
he was tight.
she looks at me, and she goes, "Wasn't that you with the Knicks?" Because it's a famous story of me and the fam during the Knicks era. I was that volatile. Yeah, yeah. I have been known to snatch a jersey off and throw it down and act like this
Well, I
inanimate
mean,
object
the
is a
Knicks
real
and the
person.
Giants
Yeah.
will do that to you, though.
Oh, they'll
They'll
tear
do
your
that. The
nerves up.
Knicks will do that to you.
They'll tear your nerves up.
Oh my God, man, it hurts so bad.
Yeah, they'll
It hurts
they'll
so
tear your
bad. I hate to
nerves up.
say to say I hurt. Unlike the Dallas Cowgirl fans, like they hurt, but they sit there and is oblivious. And we don't want to. Well, I don't. You can bash. I will bash them on taking no shorts because that's what we do. I mean, the name is taking no shorts, so we just call a spade a spade. So regular season guy, I put in a group chat with Carlton Banks and a couple of. He didn't put me in a group chat with a couple of his family members and some people that are Cowgirl fans and they going in, and I'm like, yo, to a lot of the rest of the NFL, we don't do this over a regular win on a Sunday. This, you can and then I said you can have September and October, but the champions know February and January is ours. I won't even talk about my team. I'm just saying, like, so you got to put some piss. They piss vinegar all day. You gotta shut them down. You got to shut them down, Marcus.
I'm a humble fan. I say it to you like this, right? I was the first person last week to be like they kicked our asses. I'm the first person to say that, if the team goes 0-17, I'ma still root for them. I'm not going to be the guy every single year because we picked up the big name free agent or because of what our legacy has been that we're gonna win a Super Bowl every year. I'm humble with it. That's the frustration. Like, if you really want to know the frustration with that fan base is your pride in how loud you are doesn't match the productivity over the last 25 years.
What they say,
That's the
keep the
long
same
time. That's the long
energy.
time. Yeah, keep the same energy. Like, be humble. Like the Giants have 4 Super Bowls, 8 championships, right? And we won our last one 12 years ago in 2011. It's like it's getting late early, as Yogi Berra would say. Like that's a long time ago. But you know,
Nah.
I'm proud. I'm proud of it. I'm not the guy that's saying that we're gonna win every single year because a couple of pundits said that we had a good preseason. You know what I'm saying? Like you have not shown in recent history
Right.
that you are, going to be as great as you're saying that you're going to be. So that's the frustration. Just have a little humility, like the Yankees. Perfect example, Grizz. Yankees ain't won in 2009. Do you hear me running around talking about how great they are? Do you even hear me using the 2017
Don't have to.
that much right now? I for what? They
Don't have to.
come into last place this year, and they deserve every bit of ridicule that they're getting. We getting some love from our brother James. James VUU Panther, solid to you, brother. He says the mighty commanders are
Peace.
2-0. We back, he says. The
Oh my
commanders are
God.
two
Oh,
and
don't. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, let me take my glasses off. Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah,
Oh
got
my
the
God.
strap.
They almost choked.
They
They
won, bro.
almost choked
They
on a
won.
glizzy yesterday.
But
Pause.
they won. You can't talk about what they almost did. They won. You got to get in people they props.
That what I was. I give them their props. They 2-0, and hey, some teams would like to be 2-0,
Yeah.
but they 2-0. And if you become a fan, if you watch something long enough, you know, and you're a realist, and I think me and you, Mark, are realists. You know, you are what your record says you are,
Yes, sir.
and your team is who your team is who your team is. As a New York Knicks fan, you know, my team is my team, but
Yeah.
I ain't gonna run from them. You know what I mean? I'm not going. I'm not. I mean, I understand what it's been like since '99, since how you say, Mark, since they let Pat Ewing go to where he go to Orlando or
Yes.
Seattle.
He got traded to Seattle, and then he ended up in Orlando after that. Yeah. 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 It's
And
just
we ain't won since, have we?
nah,
I mean, we
it's
haven't
funny
gotten
because I
there since.
remember
Put
at
it
the
that
time,
way.
Grizz, I remember at the time, we were brothers at the time. I remember saying when they traded Patrick Ewing, it was in October of 2000. I said at the time, they will suffer for this for generations. I said it at the time.
And but we do but we do though. Shout out to Jalen Brunson. Like we do
Oh
the
yeah,
generation.
we,
Like we
we,
had to live
yeah,
through that painful generation. So we do, and I think the way that team is looking. I know we talked about NFL, but as Knicks fan, I've been a Knicks fan since. I'm gonna keep it a bean. I've been a Knicks fan since I moved to New York and I lived in Brooklyn since '93, '94. Before that, it was because my parents said Dr. J was the man. So I was a Sixers fan. But when in my late teenage, early 20s, I lived in New York, and I was there for. I was in junior cheesecake place, the place that Puffy made them people walk, allegedly, allegedly. And
yeah.
I don't know how y'all believe that. You can edit. I've done editing for the Taking No Shorts podcast. Them people ain't walk all the way from goddamn Midtown to Juniors, downtown Brooklyn. Ain't no fucking way. Excuse my language. Ain't no way.
I think a lot of us have had issues with that story since that show. It was a trip. Hey, look, our brother James just said them boys fans love their owner even though he destroyed their Super Bowl formula. Yeah, they was looking good
Right, right,
for a
right.
while. You
Take of
can't
the
take
night
away
right
five.
there.
They got
Take of
five.
the night
Yeah.
right there.
They got five. No shade. Y'all got what, six? We got four, and it's
Yeah.
absolutely
And then
stands up well with the others. It ain't five, it ain't six, but it certainly stands up well. I'm proud of my four, so I'll just say that and leave that there. Ain't no how stepping with Marcus J live from our mobile games, Legacy in that radio. Marcus J, host of Taking Those Shorts podcast. My brother Jay Rizzy Green. This is the first time that I'll say it in the absence of my brother John and my sister Steph getting a shout out for the first time in tonight's show. Let us move on. Got another shout out that I'll give to my brother, the OG Temptation. He is just checking in. He said, "What up to us?" So peace to the homeboy, the
Peace to you,
legend
bro.
himself, my brother Tim Casey. So let us move on, Grizz. You know what I want to move on to, man? I want to have a little fun talking about Coach
Yes,
Prime,
sir.
man. You want to talk about Coach Prime?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Here-
for sure.
yeah. Here's the first question I'm going to ask you, right? Is it okay to be a bandwagon Colorado Buffaloes fan today, present day? Is it okay? Yes or no? And why?
Uh, well, the way you pose the question is like, do we have permission?
You want
Right
me to answer it
now,
first? You want me to answer
eh,
it first?
put yeah, I will. Yeah, please, please, please.
Okay. Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. You could be a bandwagon Colorado Buffaloes fan. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. You can be a
It's
Buffaloes
your show, sir.
bandwagon.
It's your show.
So now that I done took the lid off from where I'm going, go ahead and make your opening comment. Because you already know what we
I
saying
was
here.
so trying to fit.
I know. I just
I
like to
mean, I
let
was
you
so
loose.
trying to fit.
No, I want to let you loose. Not loose, loose. Not like how you do loose. On
Well,
the topic loose.
I know, I know, I know. I did a live about this the other day, over the weekend. Look, there is a certain kind of I call it swagger or je ne sais quoi, or when somebody that's with us is moving the needle, is moving the dial. And when I say with us, I mean it in this way: ain't against us. So notice Marcus J, I ain't say nothing about socioeconomic or anything like that. I didn't say it. What I'm saying is, who's for you and you know who ain't. And just the story of Coach Dion, and I always say Coach first because if we call him Neon Dion or just Dion by the first name or anything like that, we are edifying him from when we saw him. You know what I mean? Like we're saying like our generation, Black Gen X. Matter of fact, I'm running for that presidency, but um,
Yes, you
we
are.
know, yeah, right. We know Deion Sanders as pumps and a bump, pumps and a bump, and also talking that talk, walking that walk, right? But if you look at what he's doing from Jackson State, who would have took a job at Jackson State a couple of seasons in? They water ain't running. They water not running. Marcus J.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Since you brought that up, let's talk about that. Let's talk about how that program hadn't done very well prior to him getting there, and then they did very well once he got there. And you had people who wanted to complain that he worked out his contract and moved on. Like he worked out his contract. I think he had like maybe 1 year left, or whatever it was, or he was at the end of it. He was in the lame dunk period of the contract. You know what I'm saying? And he moved on. Like I think a lot of our people in particular
Look,
got upset with him because that
let's
was an
ask any
HBCU.
person.
Hold on, let me finish this point. Because that was an HBCU, and black folk wanted to keep him forever because it was an HBCU, and I understand that. I get it. I understand that. But you can't get mad at him for wanting to move on. Go ahead, Grizz.
What I was getting with that, and I agree with what you're saying, bro. Somebody who, for somebody who started at a HBCU, that told me everything I wanted to know because John Stallworth. Look at that. I'm a bounce, and you can stop me at any moment because sometimes I do a squirrel. But look at all. If
Yes,
we
you
look
smart.
at the NFL, yeah. But if we look at the NFL, like a lot of those Hall of Fame players that's in Canton came from these HBCUs. So shout out to the Chiefs. Shout out to all because I think about the Chiefs because I think about Will and Neal. Shout out to the Baltimore Ravens or Cleveland Browns because they got a good like HBCU scouting department. But they looking for these players that's out here. And Dion said to my, Dion been on NFL Network commentary, making commercials and all of that, right? But if I was Dion didn't say no, I could just sit back and do this. He actually went to do something that could affect something. It's different if you're just doing it for the lights and the camera. He did. I think he went to Jackson State, took that job, so he believed he could make a difference. And I
Yeah,
dare say he did.
yeah.
Where's the lie?
No, I mean I agree with you. Not only you take it serious, like they won a bunch more games than they had previous to that. And I think a lot of it has to do with the name that he has. He's Deion Sanders. He's Hall of Fame NFL player. He was very flashy. He played, Major League Baseball as well. And it's funny that we bring this part of his biography up. I remember when Dion played for the Yankees in the late '90s, late '80s and early '90s. I think it was like '89 and even '90. He played a couple seasons. He played here in the Richmond area. He played for the Richmond Braves. He had a few years that he was
Braves. I remember
for
that.
the England Braves as well. He ended up being cut by the Yankees because they knew that his heart was with football and playing both sports was stunning his baseball growth. So that's why the Yankees cut him, and he continued to play
You know,
baseball for a few more years after that.
I saw the 60 Minutes. I think it was the 60 Minutes interview,
Yeah.
and they said no, it wasn't 60 Minutes. He was on ESPN. On somebody asked him what was harder. And I know you're a baseball guy. I
Oh, you
grew up
already
a
know
baseball guy. They lost me somewhere in the mix.
yeah, yeah. That was the next piece that I was going. I got it. You know exactly where you're going. Thank you, Tim Casey. Casey said he played for Cincinnati as well. He was a Red. I know where you were going on that story. You want to share that story? What he said was the hardest thing?
Yeah, sure. So I missed the interview, but it was last week leading up to the Colorado State game, or it might have been on 60 Minutes. But somebody asked Coach Deion Sanders, "What's the hardest thing, playing football or playing baseball?" And he didn't hesitate. He said, "Without a doubt, hit that baseball play."
Hit that ball.
Do you
Hit that ball.
understand how your eyesight got to be?
Yeah. You know what's crazy about that?
And
You
he's,
got a lot of.
nobody chased him on it.
You know what's funny about that? Obviously I'm a baseball fan at heart. I love all the sports, but baseball is kind of home base for me. To pardon the pun, but yeah, I've always talked about the challenge, athletically that you have to have to play baseball well, and basketball is so obvious. Those jokers can jump out at the gym. And they're wearing shorts and tank tops, so you can see the rippling muscles and all that kind of stuff. But I often think the athleticism that you need to play baseball is always taken for granted. Football is more physical, it's brutal, bigger guys, that sort of thing. But if you have to take a square bat and swing it at a circle that's flying at you at 100 miles an hour and hit it square hard enough for it to, create a challenge for people to catch it before you can get from point A to point B. It's not easy. It's just not easy. Let's see. Tim Casey said you can fail 7 out of 10 times and still make the Hall of Fame, which is true. Baseball.
That's
You bat
true.
300. That's about as good as it's going to get. Nobody bats 400. Ted Williams was the last one to bat 400.
Ted Williams.
19 40 something,
What year was that?
1941, I think, 1941. He
Look,
batted
that take
400.
it. That's it. That says all you need to know. There's a
It's
record from 1941 that's still
41.
out here, and ain't nobody broke it.
Yeah, I think it's 41. Somebody can check my facts, but I think it's 1941. Ted Williams batted 406. And ain't nobody come close other than Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn got pretty close. He got the 390.
In the middle of a world war, ladies and gentlemen, in the middle of Nazi years of an American fighting, that's the last
Yeah,
time a
because those
fucking
jokers
record
left.
was broken in baseball like that.
Those jokers left. Yeah, they went to fighting wars. Like Yogi, I think missed like 2 or 3 years. But anyway, back to Prime for a minute. I got a really cool Deion Sanders story that I want to tell everybody. Right, I teased it on social media that I would tell this story. So it's about 2000. I'm pretty sure it's 2000. Right, and I walk into Harvey's barbershop in Richmond, Virginia. It's now known as McCormick's on the corner of First and Broad in Jackson Wood in Richmond, Virginia. I shout him out because that's where I've been getting my hair cut since 1992. And I've been sitting in
For
Rob's
real,
chair.
bro.
Yeah, I've been
Oh
sitting in Rob's
shit.
chair. Yeah, and I've been sitting in Rob's chair since 1996. So shout out to the homies down at McCormick's Barbershop. Y'all got love from me. So anyway, it's about 2000, and I walk in, and Rob was just finishing up somebody who jumped out of the chair, and I jumped right in the chair. I jumped right in the chair, and anybody that knows me knows if I take these glasses off, I can't see too good. I don't see too good without them, right? So, so I'm sitting in the chair, and Rob's beginning, and I noticed that there's commotion, not like fighting or anything, but raised voice, a little more than just the normal. And I noticed that the dude is just saying, "What do you think, Dion? Come on, Dion. Come on, Dion." So I look, and through strange, squinty eyes, I look over, and Deion Sanders is sitting in the booth right next to me. The homie Low was cutting his hair, right? So I'm like, "Oh shit, that's
Oh
me."
wait. This was in Richmond.
Right?
Wait a minute. That's when he was playing for the Braves, trying to make his way back up
He
to
was on
Atlanta.
his.
Am I getting this
He
story
was
right
done.
so far?
He was done baseball by then, and by then he was on his way to just being exclusive with football. But the other piece of the
Oh,
story
gotcha.
was he was in the barbershop with David Terrell. David Terrell went to Huguenot, ended up getting
Florida State.
drafted
Yeah.
by the Chicago Bears, and they shared an agent. I learned this later.
Oh, okay.
I learned this later, but they
Okay.
shared an agent. That's why Dion was there. I just remember thinking that he's dressed country as hell for him to be Dion. He's wearing like overalls, like literally overalls.
He is. Hey, as East Coast cats, right? I consider myself up top East Coast cat. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't walk around, and I got a Southern accent on top of that. I'm still
Yeah,
not walking around with no cowboy.
he was wearing blue denim overalls that come over the shoulder with the suspender, and a green shirt. Tim Casey's reminding us that David Terrell went to Michigan, not Florida. I think you said Florida. So
He's right. He's right. He's
yeah,
right.
yeah, he is. So anyway, the commotion was the dude that was sitting there had challenged Dion to a foot race down Broad Street.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and it was
Are
just
we
crazy.
smoking the same weed tonight?
It was crazy, and it's funny because I remember, it's been a long time since I told that story. So before I told it, I had to remind myself. So I called the homies at the barbershop and I talked to one, and they said, "Yeah, man," and all the way down to the green sweatshirt. Like, and to end
Right.
the story, no, he didn't run and race this dude down Broad Street. That was the end of it. But I didn't even realize it was Dion. I couldn't see him. I had no glasses on. And by the time he left, I was still getting my hair cut. So I never actually, because Chris, I can't see.
Did you get a free cut?
Huh?
Right. Did you get a free cut? Is what I need to know. Like,
Nah,
did
nah,
you get?
nah.
Did he
But
charge you?
oh, nah. This is my same barber chair that I've been sitting in every 2 weeks for the last 28 years. Yeah, and
That's
Mo
how I
used to
know
say,
you're a damn brother, man. I've been going to when I had hair. That was my first barbershop. My dad would walk me up to Harvey's. Well,
"Oh,
not walk,
word."
but we take the bus or he drive, walk me up to Harvey's, and I sit in. This is why I ain't got no hair because you had to have a barber back in the day, Dad. When I walked up in there, you just said, "Hey, whoever first nigga that cut this, excuse my language, whoever cut his hair first, because I got to get up out of here."
That's how you end up with the jacked up haircut. See,
I'm sorry.
you know I gotta kick you, right? You know I gotta you gotta drop something in the jar.
Yeah,
You want I'm gonna make you drop something in the jar.
yeah,
It's all good.
yeah.
Hey, you know how Stephen Marcus J live from our mobile den legacy internet radio. Grizz, you can give young you any piece of advice.
Yes.
What would it be? Young you, young you. Let's see, half your age.
Me young.
Yeah, yeah, young you, half your age. So
Okay.
25, 26-year-old Grizz. What would you tell him?
Get get focused. Get focused. Just don't worry about 8 things. Worry about one thing. Don't worry about a million things. Worry about one thing. Get focused, and you'll be okay.
Get focused. I like that. Is there any particular reason that that's the advice that you would give?
I'll say because being a teenage dad and being a good teenage dad and having priorities and being coming from a good home, not to say everybody's circumstance is different, but I had a lot on my plate sooner than everybody else had a lot on their plate. So I had to, my focuses was all over the place, you know, and that I do not regret. But if I could have focused on, I did what I did was I focused on being a good dad first. Like I prioritized, like you got to be a good dad first. Then you can be this. Then you can be that. And once I say, figure out which is, even if through your circumstances, figure out who you are and focus on it and be good at it and push out all the other clutter.
Yeah,
That's clutter.
yeah. Yeah, I like that. I like that. It's funny. The reason why I asked you is because as we kind of move through middle age, I found myself to be a lot more reflective. And giving myself grace for the things that I know now that I didn't know
Hmm.
before. Wishing. And I think that's the reason why when we talk to young folks, particularly folks like you and I, who kind of delve a bit into the lecturing, and certainly me, when there's young folks around, but like there's so many things that you learn when you get older that you wish that you had that discernment when you were younger. You know what I mean? And it causes often for some to just want to be harping onto it when you talk with young folks. Like, avoid that, man. Like, don't do that, because if you do that, this can happen. But gotta also be reminded that everybody's experience is different. Kind of for them. So it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting feeling. How you feeling about getting older, man? Middle age. Has it done something to you? Has it made you reflect more? Because I'm definitely in
Oh
a
boy,
state of reflection a whole lot more than I ever was before.
I would be lying to you if I wouldn't even just say just the time or middle age, because I think that's what middle age is. Just enough, all the time, all the days, all the hours, all the minutes, all the seconds you've been on this rock. All right. So that's one thing. If you reflect, if you're fortunate enough, being black men, to get to where we are, and you had enough time to reflect on that, that's in and of itself namaste. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if I had the time to reflect, I always say this. I never wanted to raise my children in a way like do as I say, not as I do. That type of vibe. So middle ageism, or what folks say is middle age. Um, hey, I'm gonna give you this game, and then I'm gonna give you everything that was given to me, and then some more. And that's the pass it along part for me, because I paid attention to everything that was given to me, but I also know that everything that was given to me might have been some bullshit, you
Yeah.
know. And I'm not gonna give you the bullshit, but I'll give you everything that was given to me that helped me, my discernment, you know, that helped me get there. And I was talking to my son the other day, and I said, "Yeah." I might have put it out on the live I did the other day. But my job is to, you got to learn from the bullshit because it's a very, for Gen Xers or middle-aged folks going through 2023 at this very moment in time, or ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Like the technology, I think we're at a shift in technology. We grew up with the shift growing, but now the stuff is elevating, and you got to be able to determine and discern what's real and what's not.
Right.
And
Right.
I say that, and I'll pass it to you, Mark. Is I saw a video. They said this. They already set it up and said, "Yo, this is a fake video." They said it, but it's like somebody is leaking something out on the internet and say, "Look, this was fitting to come," just like with cell phones or just like with beepers or whatever the thing is. But this is fitting to come, right? And they had somebody saying words, and it sounded like them, and the mouth moved just like them, but it won't them.
Right.
And I said to myself, why is you prepping me for this? Why is you telling me this is fake? I
But
know
that's
it's
how.
fake
That's
because I know what's real.
and what's not, and what's not. We could see it all coming. Let me pause us here. I'm gonna get some love in. So Somodi B, and peace to the stars and the
It's a
squares
delay.
who are checking in with us. Peace to my sister Mo is checking us out. Peace to Star. Somodi B to our brother K Dub. Peace to you, brother. Big Bro Hook back from King Solomon number 19 in Jersey City. King Solomon number 27 in Richmond, Virginia. Got a lot of love for you, brother. He says, at the grand age of 65, my life has been good since I had family and friends to you and me where I am today. So I dig that. I dig that. I think we take a little bit, Grizz, from everybody. I definitely believe that, especially those people who we take into our inner circle. Those of us who have friends, have family. We learn, or at least we should, when we offer kindness and salutations to one another. I'll be honest with you, I didn't think this way when I was younger. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think as you get older, your priorities get different.
No, nobody would have.
No, no, no. I didn't. Hey, look, I didn't speak to you in a manner like, you and I've been friends since we were in our 20s, in early 30s. So we know each other a long time, a long time. Did we
Hmm.
talk to each other this in the manner that we speak to each other? I don't know. Well, I do know, but what I'm trying to get at is the shift. The shift. It feels good. It feels, especially when you got kids. You get a kick out of watching
Yeah,
your
it
kids.
does. It does.
Tell me about it.
I do. I
Especially when
do. And it's
going through
because I get a kick out of. Yep, I do. I get a kick out of both seeing them. I told my youngest, he's 22. I said, "Hey, you are doing it, you know, and you are doing it well. Keep going, but don't ever think that you know more than what daddy know."
I think most dads would tell you that. I think most dads would tell you that. I know mine did, which is a good thing, and it's true. It's true. Your time will come. If you're fortunate enough to keep waking up, you too will be the elder. That's another thing. That's the part that I'm learning now. That's why I find myself in this kind of conversation so often, Grizz, is because you know I'm now saying the things that I remember they used to say to us. And it's a
Yeah,
trip.
all the time. I find myself saying it more often than not, and even I have to catch myself. I tell my oldest son, and again, folks paying attention to the early part of the podcast. I was a teenage father, so we're 17 years apart. And when me and him have conversations, I catch myself, and I'm like, "Yo, I can't believe that you telling me like I sound a certain kind of way." And I'm like, I want to jump on and be like, nah, dad ain't that. He still got it, right? But he was like,
Yeah.
nah, dad, you sound some kind of way, you know, and you need to. And he taught me, him and my wife, honestly, they taught me how to relax, how to look, everything. There's a reason why we old school, and it's okay. But to me, and I always tell them, there's always there's never a bad reason to be an old school guy. You know, you want the old school guy to be around, especially as a black man on anybody's uh 200 years, 180 years ago plantation. You want somebody like us around. That's who I keep around, honestly. Around me, somebody to tell me, hey, don't go around there on Mr. Gilmore's property.
Don't say that.
I don't know if I'm off the reservation yet, but I'm gonna just go ahead and give it back to you. Yeah,
No, I
yeah.
mean, I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Ain't no how Steph Marcus say live from NewDen or Mobile Den rather Legacy in that radio. Shout out to my partners John and my partner Steph, who both traveling. Must be nice to be traveling as long as they have. But hopefully, I'll
My
have an
passport
opportunity.
expired.
Yeah. Well, the reason why Steph was traveling this past weekend is because her birthday was this weekend. So, special shout out to our
Oh,
sister Steph because her birthday was yesterday, and so
happy birthday, Steph.
make sure that
I'm
we
not
send
gonna say what I wanted to say, Steph.
that's probably a good idea. it's probably a good idea that you don't. Shout
It
out
was
to our
good.
brother.
It was good. It was good. It was
He
good.
says, "Good morning from afar, gentlemen. Good stuff, as always. So peace to you and your travels, and thank you for checking in with us, and hopefully your travels as well as ours, John's and Steph's travels are continue to be safe travels. Ain't no how Steph Marcus J live from
Yeah.
our mobile dance legacy and radio. All right, so listen, Grizz, we'll do one more topic, right? We're gonna do one more topic.
I got
Uh,
time, bro. I got time for the Steelers beat up on the Browns tonight.
yeah. Those guys. We'll see how that goes. My big cousin is a Browns fan. And I'll be curious to see the two of y'all in the same room trying to watch the game. But I got one more topic. I want to talk about political ageism. And what sparked this was Mitt Romney, the senator out of Utah, who has had a long career in politics. He was a governor. Of course, he run for president a couple times. He was a congressman, and most recently, he was a senator out of Utah, announcing that he won't seek reelection. And part of his rhetoric was talking about the ageism and the fact that he, at 76 or 77, whichever years he is in age, it's time for the baby boomers to step aside for us Gen Xers and millennials and all the way down to our brothers and sisters in the Gen Z generation. So, with that as our starting point, I'd like to talk to you about
Mhm.
first about him. Obviously, the elephant in the room of this conversation is the current president that we have. That's already 81 years old, and if he is to be elected in his next term, he will leave office at 86 years old. There are polls that suggest that not only is Donald Trump a viable candidate with regards to polls, but the fact that he's only just a few years younger than President Biden, there are those that don't even care about that. So there's a lot to unpack here. I wanted to lay all of that on the table. This will be our last topic before we shift to a close, and so I want to spend as much time as we need to spend on this one, Grizz, kind of unpacking it. I'm gonna get one more comment in from our brother Hook, and then I want you to respond to the setup that I have here, Grizz. But our brother Hook said he said some good words, but we need an experienced person as president. So certainly understand that as well. So, Grizz, what do you think about ageism in political landscape?
It's a toughie. It's a toughie because there's an argument that could be made on both sides of the argument. But here's where as a candidate for all Black Gen Xers on social media, yeah, dig. Um, no, we need to let the young folk go ahead and take that. We didn't, and here's where I fall on. The reason why I say that is because you cannot complain about the results of when you had it. Like when somebody gave you the rock, right? As a generation, I'm speaking of, and you fumble it, you need to say to yourself, I fumbled it. All right, y'all gotta that's what some folks did. Like, we fumbled it, y'all just gonna have to deal with crack, y'all just gonna have to deal with gun violence, y'all just gonna have to figure this out, right? We fumbled it. All right, I come from that ilk. I'm saying, okay, I'm not going. I'm not going to admit to my children that I fumbled anything. And if I fumbled anything, at least I'm gonna be a real one about it and take no shorts and acknowledge it. Right. So just acknowledge it. You can't go back and fix anything. So let's acknowledge the fact that we get the leaders in America that we got because of that thinking. Ain't nobody said what I just said on Ain't No Half Stepping with Marcus J. Ain't nobody said that because it's money, it's influence, it's who you can who you can barter with. You know, I get that. I get that. But at least be real about it. At
You
least
know
say
what?
that's what it is.
That's what it is. We getting H. Clay is checking this out. He says there should be a cutoff for federal employees based on age as well as mental competency capacity. Let's say 65 for president, SCOTUS, and a minimum level of competency. Ano has that Marcus J live from Mobile Den Legacy Net Radio. So we know we got Diane Feinstein out of California who's in her 90s that's missing all of these votes because, quite frankly, she's an elderly person that has elderly person type issues that's causing her to not be president. And you can't be viable if you can't be president. And then you got Republican leader Mitch McConnell who is having issues right in front of our eyes. And I'm not going to be disrespectful to whatever his challenge is, but we see it. It's happening in front of us. You know what I'm saying? And then you'll get some doctor who is being pressured by the third or fourth highest ranking person in the country to say that there's competency here. Like, who amongst us is looking at Mitch McConnell and seeing competency? I don't know what's going on in the offices, but when you see people who deal with him every single day look nervous and look distressed and look fearful about what may be happening to him in front of the entire world, and we're supposed to be understanding and believing that there's no issue here. Like, that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. And so that brings me to the president and the former president who's running for president. First of all, the fact that he got all of these charges in all of these states and all the tape is lying about all of the things
Hey,
going for
hey,
him.
I try not to hit the J or the L,
I'm
but
gonna,
but what you saying right now is let me hit the J.
let me continue my rant. We got all this stuff going on that we see right in front of us, and we still looking at polls that show a statistical tie. So that tells me how far gone this country is. I was having a conversation with somebody just a couple of days ago who was trying to tell me that in spite of all of the bullshit, she did some great stuff for their country. Like, really,
No, we gone. We
really,
gone. We
really.
gone, bro.
So we already know what it is when it comes to that. And so when you have somebody like me, a left-leaning independent who absolutely would vote whoever I felt like is the viable candidate, whether he was blood or cuz, because all they ask is to kill the people anyway. How I'm supposed to vote? Who is there for me to vote for? Who? Who you put in front of me? Who you
There's
put in front of
literally
Marcus Day,
nobody.
right? Who? 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 And
Right.
then you have all these people mad at me
I mean,
because I
if you're asking me the question, I'm gonna answer it, bro.
well, it's rhetorical, obviously, but I want to know.
Hmm.
Now, the brother Hood says she must go, he must go. Trump is anti-American. All of those things, all of those things are true. Go ahead, Grizz. Jump in.
What you said earlier? No, you're fine. Wonderful rant, bro. Wonderful rant. What you were saying was when I mean you laid it out, and I'm always trying to detect what a lie is, and I'm trying to detect what a lie is. Look, if we having a conversation after federal indictments, now we are speaking from black men, and black men know federal indictments from Clinton to Bush to
We're not gonna do
Carter,
that.
all the way back.
We not gonna call Clinton black man. We're not doing that.
Oh no! I'm not calling Clinton black. I'm saying we know the indictments because
Oh,
of their policies.
okay. Let me get a shout out in before you
We
continue.
yeah,
Shout
we
out
know
to
the indictments because of their.
Let me get a shout out before you continue. Shout out to our sister Michelle. She's saying, "Hey, Marcus, just getting in. Peace to you, sister. Peace to you." Grizz, hold your train of
Peace
thought.
to
I
you,
want
sister.
one more comment in, and then I want you to pick up your point, Grizz. H. Clay says, "Times change. We need leadership that can change." Also, when I see our leaders admit that they can't even use social media, then we know we have been left behind. This is one of the basic reasons that Asian countries specifically and foreign countries generally have leadership running circles around us technologically, financially, politically, etc. And Hood
I
says
agree.
45, he is now
That's
91.
from Indonesia.
Yeah. Go ahead and continue your point, Grizz.
No, I'm saying I agree with you. That shout out to my homeboy Smurf chilling in Indonesia, the most Muslim, got the biggest Muslim nation population in the world, and he's thriving out there. So he's definitely coming through to Taking No Shorts podcast, and he's I know I've seen him follow Ain't No Half Stepping as well. No, I mean your point you were making earlier in your mur is like we having a conversation about somebody that's got these indictments, and black men know indictments from all the stuff that's manipulated to put us in those type of situations, right? Like, and we having a conversation about somebody whether they decide they how far have we gone. That's how I think of how our ancestors thought, right? Our ancestors had no idea if you were born, if you were not born and raised, say, in the first decade of your life in Africa. Our ancestors had no clue on what and who and how. All they knew was what they was brought into the world with. That's how I think. That's how I look at the world. That's how I look at life because that's who I came from, right? And when I think about how not much has changed if we having a conversation about somebody who's fitting to be who's already been indicted and going to trial on multiple to be president, let alone the sheriff, the dog catcher, or anybody else. But to be president, and this legit could happen all because don't nobody want to turn the page on age, don't want to turn the page on, you know, anything. It's like that's what we are in this town, in this country, in this world. Don't nobody want to turn the page on anything, Mark.
Yeah, it's cult of personality. Is so maddening for those of us with common sense. For those who want to make the jokes and send out the memes, hey, do what you do. That ain't what I do. What I do is I think logically and I think with common sense, right? Common sense. Common sense says you wouldn't want a teacher for your kid to be under a bunch of indictments. Common sense says you wouldn't want your doctor to be up under a whole bunch of indictments. Common sense says you
Right.
wouldn't want
You don't want
the
me
person.
operating on you when I take this drink.
Common sense says you don't want somebody who is doing a lot of your lawyer to have a bunch of indictments. But you will sit here with a straight face and tell me that the indictments and the things that have been done and said by this person don't bother you enough for you to say, perhaps maybe I should vote for another Republican. It's got to be that Republican. It's got to be that guy. That's the one. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I know it's more going on here. And we used to come on this show and other shows on Legacy Internet Radio, and we wax poetic about the political landscape and all of those things when I was far more emotionally driven by that stuff. But now, like, what I'm supposed to do? Really? We were raised in a generation in the ashes of the civil rights generation of you gotta exercise your right to vote. But when you exercise your right to vote, but your neighbor don't, and because of sheer numbers, the common sense people don't get voted for, the nonsense people continue to be pushed down the ballot or up the ballot, depending on perspective, and you end up being with in 2023, you end up potentially with an 82-year-old president and his 78-year-old challenger. Think about it, your
What you're saying is the
82-year-old president
whole thing.
and his 78. So even if I didn't have a direct problem with the soon to be 78-year-old and the 82-year, I'm just indifferent to Joe Biden. I always have been. For those people who hate him
Hmm.
and want to connect his son to his stuff, hey,
Hmm.
knock yourself out. I'm not defending him. I'm not defending the crime bill of the 90s. I'm not defending Joe Biden. I don't think he's nowhere near as bad as some of them think, and I don't think he's nowhere near as good as some of his supporters think. But having said all that, he's old as hell. Democrats, you can't find nobody else. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody else.
Hear what I'm gonna say. This
To
is
support.
this is as a history guy, as a history major, Mark. I'm sorry to interject in your rant, but here's what I say, and here's why I think like if you don't learn from history, it's doomed to repeat itself type of mantra. Like I think as Africans in America, I think we've been here before. I honestly think we've been here, and that could be from an Eastern medicine, like reincarnate. Some folks could take it as an Eastern medicine reincarnation thing, but I swear for whatever everything I hold is holy. That as a people, we've been here before, fooling around with this country, and all I say on my podcast, like that's y'all problem. Leave me out of this, right? But it's hard. It's easy to say that, but they stuff spill over. They stuff. This is like you said earlier. We're having a conversation about a leading candidate for presidency under how many indictments?
A lot,
Four
a lot,
different jurisdictions. A
multiple
lot.
states,
And we having a
multiple states.
conversation. This
The
it's,
indictment should have been
I
enough.
mean,
The indictment should have been enough.
my great I do ancestry. I've sipped that Kool-Aid because all of it's in Salt Lake City, by the way. I don't know what they want with my DNA, but all of it's in Salt Lake City. Um, my great three times great grandmother has a verbal diary of when the Union came through Charles City County in the Peninsula Campaign in 1862. Someone who helped bore someone that helped bore someone, that's the Bible type. Like whoever gave begat, someone that was around to make sure I was here told somebody this would happen when that happened. and it caused a ruckus in a whole world. Ain't had nothing to do with it. Don't want nothing to do with it. But it caused a ruckus in a world.
Let me
And
get a couple of
so,
comments in. Let me get a couple of comments in here, Grizz. Let me pause you. Just
sure.
hold the thought right there. Hook says Governor Newsom from California's name has been being put out there. I did hear that. We're right on the same page together with that, Hook. Shout out to the big bruh, the brother Tony Brewer is checking us out. Peace to you, bro. He says they realize, they being the Republicans, that this twice impeached, 4 times indicted ex-president is guilty, but they are afraid of losing that MAGA base voters. That's why they're supporting that demagogue. As they say, every word or facts or whatever the young folks are saying now, all of that to that comment. Thank you, big bro Tony.
All right.
Let's see. H. Clay says,
Appreciate you,
same
Tony.
as in 1980 with Reagan. Here we are 40 years later, repeating this ignorance with an old, incompetent actor being in charge of the country. Interesting parallel. I can't find anything wrong with what you just said because, when he was
I'll wrap it
elected,
up.
he was 72 years old when he was elected the first time. So yeah. Good, Grizz. Go make your comment.
Yeah, thank you, bro. And I appreciate the comments, man. The podcast is spectacular. I'm always gonna say that because I see I won't give you a plug. I'm gonna put you over real quick in the middle of the pod, but I know brother Marcus for some 20 some and something years, and he's an intelligent brother. I reached out to him when I was just starting out in this game, and he ran with it, and I can see what he fit in. I'm always picking up what Marcus J is putting down. So when we get the ad for this episode, I want you to use this because this is Jay Grizzly talking about my homeboy Marcus J, and ain't no half stepping. Yeah.
Thank you, Grizz. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from our mobile den legacy internet radio. So, Grizz, I'm going to go ahead and move us towards a close. We normally do a lot longer when we're in the den of legacy internet radio when we have John and Steph, but I
That means we
wanted
get
to,
great, bro. That means we is
yeah,
getting good at this shit.
I just want to try something different. I want to try something different. You know what's funny about that, right? You remember when we first started and the show was 2 hours and we used to have to get permission from Tim Casey to go over? You remember that? And so,
Yeah,
we would do that.
yeah.
And then when we created Legacy and that radio, and as you used to say, we owned the building. When we owned the building,
We on the
the
bill.
show used to be from 7 to 9, and then we moved it from 7 to 9:30 because we couldn't finish in time. And even when it was 9:30, we still walking out the door damn near 10 o'clock. It just, the comments would keep on coming, and the
Hell,
people wanted us to keep on going.
hell,
And
taking
we
those
did.
shorts one time went all the way to about 12:30, and I told the audience, if you with me on a live at 3.5 hours in, God bless it, everything you believe in,
Yeah.
because you shouldn't be with me, but okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to give this one more comment in from H. Clay. He says he's leaving. He said he has to bounce. He's
All
here.
right, Spur. Peace to you.
He's sending nothing but love, no doubt. Keep chasing your dreams and building your legacy. Peace from Indonesia. Big Smurf is gone. That's what he says. So appreciate you, brother. Thank you for being a part of tonight's show and the support. So, Grizz, I'm going to finish the show on my own. I have a few things that I will share, mostly my housekeeping things that I would do normally, but I won't keep you for that. I'm going to let you go. But what I would like before you sign out and the listeners have just yours truly to take us towards the final vestiges of the show. You gave it to us at the beginning, your stuff, for who you are and stuff. But if you've got a grizzy gripe or anything that you want to share as we move you on to a close, now would be the time.
Well, thank you very much, Marcus J. I appreciate it. Today or this past weekend has been 2 years since I got one of my greatest additions to my family. He is a 2-year-old Boston Terrier. I named him because I was a Star Wars fan, and he has come into my life all thanks to the Almighty. He is Obi-Wan, spelled OBI space JUAN. Thank you, Marcus J, for letting me show this handsome young guy. Yes, he will lick me because he loves me. He gonna lick me because he loves me. But if y'all come up under the comments for me on that, trust me, I'm not going to be a nice person when I come back to you. Thank you, Marcus J. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think nobody will come for you for that. That is the purest love. Those of us who know you and love you, we love to see you and Obi-Wan because he brings out a different side of you that perhaps we may not have been familiar with. I've had a couple of opportunities to be around Obi-Wan. He always seems to give me the side eye. I don't think he's quite sure who I am, but I always tell him when I see,
He'll get. He's feeling the force from you, Marcus.
yeah,
Come back through to taking those shorts. He gonna
yeah.
get the force to you.
Yeah,
The
so
force is strong.
I know I had no problem doing that, and that's one of the cool things. We had Big Rube last week with 5 minute warning. You, of course, with Taking No Shorts podcast with Jay Grizzy, and of course me continuing with Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J on Legacy and that radio. The force was strong with all three of us. The fact that we all
Yes,
started
yes,
together,
yes.
we went in our different directions, but we could still form like Voltron. So I appreciate that. Grizz, that's our time, brother. That's your time anyway. I'm going to continue. But you, my friend, I thank you. I appreciate you. And text me when you get home safe.
I will, brother. Or otherwise, if you don't, I will pull up in your driveway looking for you. Tell them
Yeah.
say bye bye, OB.
Peace out.
Peace to
Obi.
you, bro.
Peace
Thanks
out,
much.
Meta Meta. You got it. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J live from the mobile den of Legacy and that radio. It's just me now. And this is the time of the show where I shift us to the moment in Black history, our missing children. So I'll go ahead and do that. Let's see. Today, we are looking at Althea Gibson. She is our featured person in Black history today. Althea Gibson was a talented kid with the tennis racket growing up in New York City during World War II. By virtue of her skill and toughness as a competitor, she would eventually rise to the top of her sport, and amid the challenging social climate in the United States, she would become the player who broke the racial barrier in championship tennis. She handled the latter difficult role with both equanimity and the same ripping serve she used to dispatch opponents. A native of South Carolina, Gibson was a star in the Negro Youth Leagues in New York by 1943. 5 years later, she won the women's title for the first of 5 times. In 1950, she became the first Black woman to play at the U.S. Open, and in 1951 at Wimbledon. Thereafter, she honed her skills while working as an athletic instructor rather, playing team tennis. In 1956, her game came together, and for the next 3 years, she burned up the tournament circuit, sweeping most of the majors in both 1957 and in 1958. Gibson was elected to the National Lawn Tennis Hall of Fame in 1971. Ain't No Half Stepping with Marcus J is today celebrating the sister Althea Gibson. And just as a side, there was a meme after the young sister Coco Golf won the U.S. Open a couple of weeks ago that said that many of the last 20 or 25 U.S. Open champions were Black women, dating back to Serena when she won her first in 1999, and the many that she has won, and the many that her sister Venus has won, and Sloane Stevens has won, Naomi Osaka, as well as Coco Golf, and they all stand on the shoulders of Althea Gibson, whose moment in Black history we just profiled. So peace to her, and peace to our family, and peace to the legacy of Althea Gibson and her being one of the first Black women tennis stars here in the United States. And you know how Steph Marcus J live from our mobile den, Legacy Net Radio. So now it's time to profile our missing children. Tonight is no different. We're looking for Jacob Dylan Phillips. It's been missing since September 5th, right here in the Cap City, more specifically in the Henrico County portion. He's a 14-year-old who has his hair styled in an afro, was last seen wear all black, brown dress shoes, and his fingernails are painted black. If you have seen Jacob Dylan Phillips, please contact the Henrico County Police Department at 804 501 5000. We're also looking for Zaire Emmanuel Nicholas. He's just gone missing this weekend. The date listed is the 18th, which is today. He was last seen wearing a black Nike windbreaker, black Nike pants, green Crocs, and he has on black short medium hair with blonde tips. He has nose and ear piercings. If you've seen Zaire Emmanuel Nicholas, please contact the Chesterfield County Police Department at 804 748 1251. If you have seen Zaire Emmanuel Nicholas, or if you have seen Jacob Dylan Phillips, please contact the National Center for Missing and or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.org, or contact them by phone at 1-800-THE-LOST, 1-800-843-5678. So I'd also mentioned earlier that, as you can see, is yours truly, after we just had our brother Jay Grizzy join us for most of the first, well, all of the first hour and part of the second hour here. One of the things that John and Steph and I have all gotten accustomed to when we're together, as we pull a card, and it's affirmation card. I'm going to keep their names alive here on the show tonight by keeping with that trend that we had started just a few weeks ago. So the first card I have pulled will be for John. The next card will be for Steph, and then the last one will be for yours truly. John's card says, "Today I am at peace. Today I am at peace with all that has happened, all that is happening, and all that will happen." That sounds like something. Long time listeners know that sounds like something that John would say. So hopefully he is doing well, and we hope to see him soon. Happy birthday to Steph, by the way. We mentioned that her birthday was yesterday, the 17th of September. So today's the 18th. Yesterday was her birthday. So happy birthday to you, Steph. And hopefully you are somewhere having a wonderful time and a wonderful night, and hope to see you back on my right side, because you're my right hand, sometime real soon. I pulled the card for Steph. It says, "Today I am loved. Today I will know in my heart that I deserve love and respect." So I could dig that. It's a good card for Steph. And then the last card that I pulled for myself, yours truly. And the card that I pulled for myself says, "Today I feel healthy. Today my mind is clear. My body is healthy, and my soul is at peace." Again, like I said, for John, absolutely sounds like something that I would say. So very, very happy about that. So now, as I shift us to the final stage of the show, where I go through the rant, I go through the closing. So many things that I could say, and so many directions I can go into. One of the recurring themes that I have had here lately at this stage of life is just being kind, man. Just being kind to people, understanding that, every single person that is probably going through something. We're never getting out of this life without a few scars. Some of us hide our scars a little better. Some of us heal our scars a little different. But the truth is, none of us is getting out of this alone. And I think it's important that we spend more time showing care to one another, showing understanding to one another, showing compassion to one another. There's plenty of places in the world where you can find drama and pettiness and bullshit. A lot of it goes on right here in social media, and in our lives, and the people that we interact with and things of that sort. But I made a conscious decision to avoid, or try to avoid, certain things, just for my own peace of mind, for my own harmony of soul and harmony of spirit. And I found that I have done better personally. At least I feel better. Uh, as I said before, none of us are getting out of this life without some bumps and some bruises. But I found when I speak positivity into life, I feel better about me. I feel better about my situation. because the truth is we can all complain. There's plenty of reasons for it. We all got our stuff. We all may have certain people in our lives that may not perform to certain standards that we had given them based upon our relationship with them and certain expectations that we may have had of them. We all go through that. That may be in a relationship, whether it be with your partner, with your boss at work, your child, your friend, or whomever. One thing that I would say though is, along with erring on the side of kindness, don't be no fool. Because the other thing that I think often happens is there is often the mistaking of kindness with weakness, and we should be wise to never do that as well, and to never think that the person that leads with peace is unskilled at war. So it's a delicate balance. As a Gemini, is something that I spend a lot of time thinking about. I say as a Gemini, not to lean on an astrological sign. I know a lot of us like to lean on astrological signs as if they are the end all be all in our manner of how we act and behave. Like, no, you don't get to be certain behavior just because your sign says so. I like to use it as a rule and guide, and really just as a fun way to kind of look at certain coincidences in my life and say, wow, I'm a Gemini and I do have the duality of the peaceful person and kind of a bit of a hothead. So I enjoy that, but by no means do I think it's something that governs me or governs anybody else. I just choose, or I'm making the choice based upon certain experiences that I have begun to have in my life. The fact that I have elderly parents and a college age daughter, and the fact that I relate to either sides differently. I remember being my college age daughter's age very, very clearly, and I had no interest in really trying to understand anybody else other than myself. Of course, I was always respectful, but understanding a different generation just really wasn't the thing for me. And I'd imagine it wouldn't be the thing for many young folks. So it's just an interesting time of life. And I like to share that with people because I think the sharing of common experiences is how we learn. It's how we learn about ourselves. It's how we learn about each other. It's about how we learn about all kinds of things that are pertinent to daily living and living a peaceful, balanced life. And so that's what I want to do. That's what I would implore other folks to do. And that's what I wanted to share in this rant. That is my unrelated rant that didn't have anything to do with what we're in here talking about tonight. I've got one more comment that I'm going to get in, and then I will take us to the final close. Big bro Tony Brewer says, if you're not going through something or haven't gone through something, get ready because you will go through something. Facts. And that is the greatest ending to the rant and to the show. And so for my brother Jay Grizzy and for Steph and for John, I want to say peace to all of the stars and the squares and the abundance of water. The fool is thirsty. Those are the words of Bob Marley, who you may still hear singing in the background. Authenticity has no competition. I want to remind you to be well. I want you to give grace. Always keep it 100. Ain't no hashtag on Marcus J live from Mobile Den Legacy CNN Radio. Thanking everybody who rocked with me tonight. Appreciate y'all. Holler back at you. Peace.